That's right. You're listening to and watching the Arsenal Review USA podcast. It's the podcast for the American Gooner in association with Arsenal America and the BigDiag.com. It doesn't get any less interesting for Arsenal. I think I said that on my 1 minute review. So here I am already rehashing things. Arsenal rehashing the same kind of form that got them. What were we at? 9 wins on the trot in the
Yes.
Premiership?
Not in the Premiership, all competitions.
All competitions. So that's 10 in all competitions, which I'm just reusing material from my 1 minute review. I think that was the first time Arsenal's done that since 2007, somebody said. Somebody reputable. So it's true, especially on the internet.
Yeah, I do think it's 7 in the league, though. Correct? Because I take that back. 6 in a row in the league because I guess we lost to Man City, won against West Ham, something like that.
I want to say it's more than 6, but I just know it's 10 in all comps.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're 7-2, 7 wins, 2 losses in the league.
Okay.
And so I'm not sure. I can't. We played someone in between Man City and Chelsea, did we not?
Yeah. That's like a lifetime.
So at least,
why do we dwell in the past?
Yes, at least 6 wins in the league, 10 in total. That's all that matters at this point. Please continue.
All right, as we screw up our 2018 Arsenal season history here,
yes.
all that's important is what Arsenal did tonight, and what Arsenal did tonight was quite amazing. Considering usually I feel like this is the hiccup, this is the roadblock that Arsenal hits after they've had a good run. Everyone's kind of like, you haven't really heard that much from people praising Arsenal because I think, like Arsenal fans, everyone's like holding their breath, wondering when they're just going to take a nosedive, which is usually what happens around October, November. They haven't done that yet. They looked like maybe they were at risk of doing that, or at least hitting a blip against Leicester after that first goal went in, which is just a weird goal, a strange goal, a goal that Leno somehow decided wasn't worth staying in goal for. To be fair, I think he was just playing really, really aggressive on a cross or like cutting out a cross. But at any rate, everything went wrong at that instant and clipped off of Bellerin's foot into the goal for a 36-minute go-ahead goal for Leicester. So at that point, it looked really, really bad, but Arsenal turned on the style in the second half. They definitely turned on the style there for the end of the first half with Ozil's goal, who he definitely, I think, pretty much always has to visualize a pass, I think, in order to score a goal. He has to, really concentrate on.
Can I pass this off the post into the goal?
Right, yes. Right. If he actually shoots like laces, kind of a thing,
right,
not on target, not going to be a goal. But if he passes it, pinpoint accuracy.
Yeah.
He could hit flies in the goal if he passes. I mean, so that's what he did for the first one. I think. I mean, all around, really 3 contenders for team goal of the season were not for that amazing goal against Fulham. I still think that the third goal was the team goal of the season for Arsenal, better than the Fulham goal. Do you have any thoughts about that? Do you want to refute that?
I know. I think
hung up on all the back flicks for the Fulham goal, but there was a back flick for this one too.
Yes, many a back flick, plenty of dummies to be had in
dummies. That's what did it for me. The dummies.
Yes. Yeah. No. So I think you might be onto something here because it recently came out. I think actually yesterday, the day before, that Fulham has the worst defensive record in any top or any of the main 5 European leagues.
So they're in the universe.
Basically, you take I think the Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga, what would be the 4th? France probably, and then England. You take all the teams in those top flight leagues in those countries, and Fulham has the worst defensive record. Now they did concede 5 goals against Arsenal, so they have a lot. Arsenal probably have a lot to do with Fulham being terrible defensively. Yeah. However, I think Leicester a little bit more reputable in terms of their defensive stature, their defensive track record. So, those 2 Aubameyang goals and certainly the Ozil goal as well could be thrown in there. Great build-up, great counter-attacking play. And I think what's so what's so exciting about this Arsenal squad, at least this is what the feeling I got in watching the Leicester game, is that it feels like we're a team now that's going to score every time we get the ball into the offensive side of
And you
the
can
field.
tell, I haven't watched, we haven't actually put up Sam Limbert's 1 minute review yet. Sorry, Sam, but you'll see it. You'll probably see it by the time you hear this if you want to. But I'm sure he could weigh in on this. But you could hear in the stadium when Arsenal picked the ball back up after a dispossession or something, everybody was ready to go. Like they expected it as much too. Like back in the old days.
Right. So I mean, it's been quite a few years since I think fans have felt that, since the Emirates or Highbury for that matter has felt like every time Arsenal picked the ball up, on a counterattack, or pick the ball off someone's foot in the middle of the field with their momentum going towards their the goal to score, that they were going to do just that they were going to score, have a really good chance, force the keeper into a save. And especially tonight in the Leicester match, Arsenal played so much better than 3-1. Leno obviously had to make a couple saves before we conceded in the first half, kept it 0-0 for quite a while there. Yeah, probably could have been in a little bit better position for that first goal, or that the goal that put us down 1-0. But the fact remains is that at this point we can give up a goal or two in a lot of these matches with the way the offense is playing. And sure, I think we, as a squad, from an attacking point of view, probably deserved and played better than only scoring 3 goals. But the fact remains, it feels as though, like I said, like the stadium seems to be emphasizing when we pick the ball up in an offensive manner that, Arsenal could score at any minute and should be scoring maybe a lot more. But we'll certainly take, a 10th in a row now. And, that those consistent clean sheets are eluding us at the moment. But, I think you're seeing a lot more passion from a guy like Unai Emery, where his, every substitution it seems like he's made this season has worked brilliantly. That a guy like Lacazette, again, not a great night necessarily from a scoring perspective, but like the ball just sticks to his foot. He hit great vision.
His hold up play is like Giroud level. I mean, no one can get him off the ball when his back's to them.
Yeah, I was just about to say that you hadn't seen a lot of the hold up play from him in any particular match this season, but against Leicester, it seemed as though maybe he was instructed to hold the ball up a little bit more, especially after Aubameyang came into the match. Lay it off to Ozil so Ozil can play those runners through, just like he did for the Bellerin to Aubameyang on that first goal. I mean, the team is clicking on all cylinders, and sure, there's some questions defensively, and don't necessarily love seeing Rob Holding and Mustafi in there, even against a team like Leicester. And we have some injuries to worry about in terms of the defense as we get into November, which is going to be a really tough stretch for us. But you have to tip your cap to the squad, because Arsenal of old would have folded like a deck of cards, having come off a long international break, a whole 48 hours past when they normally maybe would have played. Plenty of guys coming back from some internationals and going down at home. The Emirates atmosphere maybe would have been a little bit grumpy. The players maybe wouldn't have been up for it, maybe a little tired from the travel. Yet, they stuck to their guns. Great to get a goal before halftime. I think that was really key in terms of how they came out in the second half, and got the job done for that 10th win in a row. For that 10th win in a row, excuse me. When in the past, coming off this long break, going down a goal in the first half, that would have killed, I think, a lot of momentum of Arsenal teams in the past.
Right, yeah, they would have been crappy, and they have been crappy, but they weren't they weren't crappy this time around. I mean, there was a little bit of there's some work to be done still on defense, especially the right. I think Hector Bellerin he's shown over the last several games that he is quite a weapon. Excuse me as I itch my nose for like the 80th time. He's quite a weapon down the right, chipping in those crosses, kind of hitting. He's really good at hitting these like shin missile crosses in that actually work. I've noticed, not the Theo Walcott shin missiles. We're talking like the effective ones. But back on defense, caught out of position again for that first goal. Yeah, he's definitely able to get back back into position because of his speed. But you almost wonder if that's like in the back of his mind where he thinks, yes, I'm fast, so I can get out of position more often, or let this guy have the ball and get into a good spot. I'll catch him. Again tonight, that's what happened. He wasn't able to fully recover, and in this case, he did technically have an own goal. So
Yeah.
those weaknesses, I think, are still rearing their head. It could really come back to bite Arsenal in big games against good teams who hone in on that and are able to hone in on that and give Arsenal extended pressure in their weak points. But against Leicester, they did in the first half, of the first half. Other than that, it was kind of Arsenal exerting the pressure, and by that they were playing defense. So they swept that under the rug with the goals. And I think that's the good news, like we talked about before, is that Arsenal can now sweep these things under the rug by just scoring more goals. And they certainly looked irresistible once they got going, like they could score 4 or 5, and maybe they should have with Lacazette kind of like squaring his body poorly on that one, like close range one. But yeah, all in all, a great night for Arsenal, a great night for Ozil, who I should do this every game. When we started the game, I was watching it at work, and all the guys in the edit suites love soccer, so we watch it, and they ask me about certain players, and they asked me about Ozil, and it's no secret that I think I can represent you this way, Kyle. We haven't been maybe the biggest fans of Ozil and his body language and some of his off the field stuff that he's gotten into and he's made like a big deal about over the last several months. But so because of that, I just told him what I thought about, he really needed to up his game. And of course, he made me eat my words. I mean, this was definitely his best game this season. Maybe not, maybe his best game in the last couple years, I'd say. I mean, he was involved with every goal in a big way. And he was involved throughout the night. So it's great to see him actually get involved and, make good on it with some good passes, some good assists, pulling the strings all night, and then obviously scoring a goal. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you would say it's his best performance in a couple of years, but for me it was. For me, he was everywhere.
No, so I mean, I remember talking about this early on in the year that if you're not going to be scoring or assisting, you have to find other ways to contribute to the team, and Mesut also wasn't doing that. And he's certainly now contributing from a goal perspective, from an assist perspective, but he's also. He had the interview after whatever game it was saying that everyone's bought in. We trust the boss. We want to play the way he wants us to play. And it was almost as if Unai Emery needed to tell Mesut Ozil it's okay for you to go across the halfway line and play defense if you want to. And he's like, I was never allowed to do that before or never needed to before. And now he goes and does those sorts of things. And I remember playing with a player in college. He was an All-American center midfielder, and a really good center midfielder is always like 10 yards away from you, like regardless of where the pitch is. Now, I know professionals, much different. You have, guys like Torreira or Xhaka who are supposed to be bringing the ball forward, but Ozil is doing a much better job, like putting himself into position to receive the ball instead of just waiting for the ball to come to him. He used to be so kind of just withdrawn from play, and then if the team wanted to involve him and get the ball over to him so he could dance around on it for a while and maybe find one or two brilliant passes a game, they would do that. But now I think Ozil is inserting himself into the game. He's making a concerted effort to go get the ball, to be part of the buildup, whereas before, even early on in the season, that wasn't the case. So, kudos to him. Hats off to him. He gets paid a lot of money to do these sorts of things, and, the griping and the little bit of complaining and I guess constructive criticism from, everywhere that's come out and said he needs to be doing a lot more to earn his keep at Arsenal. He's certainly doing those things now, and, we're benefiting from that, of course.
Yeah, I mean, let me just say this, we can move on past Ozil, but he's definitely a player who needs to be in the right environment. He definitely needs to feel like he's surrounded by players of similar ability, let's say, or capability. And I feel like his body language, I can't read his mind. No one can, but you could tell his frustration was a lot of times with other players throughout the years. And you just get the sense that now that Arsenal has assembled this like armada of firepower between Lacazette, Aubameyang, you know, Mkhitaryan, Aaron Ramsey, even all those players and more. And they're all at his disposal. And a lot of times they're playing. A lot of times they're playing on the pitch. They're on the pitch at the same time as Ozil. You can just see him kind of licking his lips when he's on the field with an Aubameyang and a Lacazette at the same time. You can tell that just like he did when he was with Alexis Sanchez. I mean, you could tell he got up for games because he could find Sanchez, he could find Alexis, and really he could really play off of him. And he had someone who would always be getting on the end of his making runs for him, getting on the end of his passes. He just someone who made more penetrating runs and just gave him more to aim at. Really, you're not going to get that with a Giroud. You're not going to get that even with a Danny Welbeck. A lot of Arsenal players, attacking players throughout the years, unfortunately, you're not going to get those options. And even if you do get those options in terms of runs, they're not going to be players, let's face it, who can really do much with them. Not as much as an Aubameyang or a Lacazette. So I think that's really, I think he's up for it now because he knows that. I don't know. I'm reading way too much into it, obviously, but he's definitely got more at his disposal now, and I think he knows it. And I think that might be part of the reason why he's getting more involved. That maybe I'm making him sound like he's too selfish or like self-interested or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's one more thing I want to point out, and many of you watching or listening may have noticed this, but I think it's important to point out because of the defensive midfield struggles that we've seen Arsenal have in the past. If you look at now this Xhaka-Torreira partnership, which I think is really coming into its own. It's been 3 or 4 matches now that they've started together, and while again we didn't keep a clean sheet, you'll notice that Torreira is the one picking the ball up from deep, and then playing usually, out wide to build the attack and not trying to play like there's ridiculous ball up the field like Xhaka sometimes felt like he needed to do when he was the player, playing from that deep line position. And how many times in the defensive midfield scenario did Xhaka pick up the ball with his back to the offensive side of the field? So he either had to play, a square ball to one of the outside or to one of the backs, or play it back to the center backs, or he got his pocket picked, for a counterattack by the other team. Very rarely now do you see Xhaka picking the ball up with his back to the offensive side of the field. He's able to receive it and turn with time because of the involvement and the movement of Mesut Ozil for one, but also because of Torreira and how reliable he's been in that deeper line midfield role behind Xhaka, if you will. Xhaka has a lot more freedom now to turn and face the field of play, which is why you get that feeling that Arsenal are going to score every time, they get the ball back and are pushing forward, because you have a guy like Xhaka who can actually now see the field, which at times before he was checking back and had no idea what was going on offensively behind him, and, just had to worry about clearing the ball out, so that the other team didn't get a counterattack at our 35. And so the Torreira-Xhaka partnership, I think, is really falling into place as well. I thought players like Lichtsteiner as well, stepping in, having not played a lot of minutes in the last month and a half, performed fairly well, from a substitute standpoint, if you will, not being a regular first teamer. So, yeah, really clicking on all cylinders here, seeing the effort and the performances from the players we need to see them from. And I think the role players like Lichtsteiner, I wouldn't call Torreira a role player, but he kind of still is at this point. That's coming good as well.
Right. Yeah, all good things. I mean, in terms of improvements, some areas of Arsenal's team that were very weak earlier, or relatively weaker earlier in the season, are coming good, especially the offense and the defensive midfield. So it remains to be seen whether or not they're going to do anything about defense in January. All the noises coming out of the Arsenal Football Club are that they won't necessarily, that they're not going to buy, but who knows? I'm sure there's always someone out there you could use. That right now they could really use just warm bodies, I think, when it comes to depth. So it'll be interesting, to see what happens in January, which is not that far around the corner. Let's not forget. Also, not that far around the corner is November. And it looks like we've already got game predictions, or we got score predictions for Leicester and Sporting. You and I, Kyle, both had 2-1 for Leicester. So we got that right in terms of results, not so much in terms of scoreline, but almost. And then we've already gone ahead and made our Sporting predictions. We both had 1-0. Oh no, we didn't. You had 1-0. I had 2-0 win. And then of course after the Sporting game, yeah, 2 road games in a row. Crystal Palace is other side of that. So do you want to go for your Crystal Palace prediction? No,
I do, and I don't think they're very good, are they? Middle of the pack.
Well,
no, I don't think they've been scoring much. I'll say 2-0.
We'll say 2-0. Okay. All right. 2-0. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my pen working. Yeah, 2-0 win. They've got Zaha. That's all they've got, pretty much. But it is on the road, so I'm going to say Arsenal. I'll say they win. I'll say they win 3-1. So there's that. Crystal Palace 3-1. Any contest announcements you got to make?
Yes, I have winners. I apologize. I don't have them in front of me, and I'm not going to search through the email or the spreadsheet.
We can just do a screen share while you leaf through.
Yeah, and share everyone's personal identifiable information.
Right.
Yeah, sounds good. No, we had some winners. We were giving some T-shirts away from HorrorDesigns.com, as well as some decals, courtesy of us. No, I guess we could make up a contest question on the spot if you wanted to if we wanted to do something, or should we just post something online, Joel? Just do that.
Well, we are playing Sporting Lisbon. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only Sporting I know of. Well, there's like a million in Spain, but it's definitely Sporting Lisbon. Portuguese team, maybe the last Portuguese Arsenal player. I have one in mind.
I like it. Okay, so let me take a step back for a second. So there are some winners from our last contest, and the question was when the last time Arsenal had played Fulham before the 5-1, what was the score? And it was 2-0 to the Arsenal was the question. So there are some winners. We'll get in touch with you if you won one of the prizes. But this week, yes, get your submissions into contest@arsenalreviewusa.com before the kickoff of the Crystal Palace match. We'll give you a little bit more time for your chance at a T-shirt courtesy of whoareyourdesigns.com. The question is, who was the last Portuguese player to play for Arsenal?
In the first team, not like a youth player, because we've got lots of those. But in the first team,
I think I know who it is too.
You see, I'm thinking more like old school being 2000s or earlier.
I think there's one more recent than that. It may have been in a crap cup, but
okay, this is making for some thrilling broadcast video. So we'll just move on past this. But yeah, that's got me stumped. Who you're thinking of? Anyway, all right. So that's the question. The last Arsenal Portuguese, in the first team. Put that in somewhere. I don't know. Whatever Kyle just said. I wasn't paying attention.
Contest at ArsenalReviewUSA.com.
Cool. That's the one. All right. So any last thoughts before we go into Crystal Palace or first Sporting on Thursday, Kyle? Massive. Do you see massive lineup shuffling ahead of this or these two games?
I wouldn't say massive, but I think you'll see quite a few regular first teamers rested, especially it is away from home, correct?
Yeah.
So it's kind of, it's that last away trip. No, we still need to play the Ukrainian team away, correct? Yes.
Yes, eventually.
So I mean,
November.
We're top of the group, undefeated, 2 games in. So I mean, I think you'll see some shuffling because we'll have 2 out of our last 3 group stage matches at the Emirates. Not that we want to be with our back to the wall in any of those games, but I don't foresee that being the case. So you'll see some shuffling, I think. Yeah.
Well, we've got
Yep.
We've got it's Liverpool on the 3rd of November. So I guess that's the next big hurdle in Arsenal's way that they kind of have to slowly prepare their team physically for
Mm-hmm.
the way they rest people. Because after Crystal Palace, we've got Blackpool in the League Cup. Yeah, and then Liverpool. So it's
Right.
yeah, maybe some winnable. I don't want to jinx anything, but winnable games before the Liverpool game. So it might be a stretch where you see some players, some key players rested. I'm predicting Aubameyang gets a little more rest too because he doesn't seem to be bothered at all by just playing 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and scoring just the same amount of goals, really. So
Right.
it's a pretty good gig. It's like a closing gig. You're a closer basically. You just come
Yeah.
on, score goals, and that's that. But hopefully Arsenal, whoever's playing, whoever's starting for Arsenal up front, hopefully they can keep going here and make it 11 wins in all comps after this Sporting game, and then 12 after Crystal Palace too. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Kyle, if we'll be getting in touch with people on the other side of those games, but we'll try. In some shape or form, you'll see us or hear from us
Yeah.
after those games. Let's put it
Yeah,
that way.
it was one of those interludes where we had planned to do something, and then a guy like me with 3 little ones, you have things like hand, foot, and mouth hit the hit the illness train, and then I think our oldest has like mono now. I mean, it's just been like been the longest, most exhausting interlull I think in human history. And so here we are back in front of you now. But like Joel said, we are putting more content up on the blog, up on the YouTube channel. So if we don't do a podcast like we've traditionally done every week for you, like we said, if it continues to be an every other week thing, which it most likely will be, we'll continue to post up online. And don't forget, we're not going to be as pushy as we once were at the beginning of the season. If you do want to record a 1-minute review for any of the matches this season, feel free to do so and upload that video on ArsenalReviewUSA.com, and we will post it. We'll edit it down for you, and we'll post it on our YouTube channel.
Yeah. Okay. Well, best of luck with the illnesses there. I don't think Alex Ferguson's sides had that many interlull illnesses. Even that's pretty bad. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that happy note, we'll leave you. We'll leave you guys to it. All right. So we'll get in touch with you in some way on the other side of Sporting and the Crystal Palace games. Until then, as always, remember, support the Arsenal and have a good week.